What can we possibly do in response to the demons that divide and dehumanize us now? Things like anger, expressed in the demonization of others, especially those with whom we disagree. Or self-righteousness, which is seen in judgment of others as less than good, less than American, less than human. Or greed, which manifests itself in many ways, consumerism, economic inequity, and so on. Or violence in all its forms across the world. These malevolent social spirits seem to have free reign in our world right now, to the point where we often feel there is nothing we can do in response. It seems out of our control. But that's not true. Like those who went before us, who were committed to the message of God's wondrous love toward all, we have a different spirit and a different voice to offer the world today. And it is imperative that we do what we can. That we do what we can to confront the powers and principalities of our time. And here are 3 simple ways for us to act. Simple to say, maybe not simple to do necessarily, but 3 ways. Vote, pray, love. It's a movie that I'm working on, I guess. Vote, pray, love. First, vote. Members of the Make a Difference group decided to use the UCC's Our Faith, Our Vote resources to make a difference by promoting voting. As it says in our insert today, in our society, voting is a natural extension of faithful action. The decisions made by our representatives have a wide-reaching impact. We must engage our legislators, vote, and encourage everyone in our communities to do the same. Our voice is needed. It's tempting to disengage from the political process, but as people dedicated to creating a just world for all, we know we must stay involved, and voting is one important way to do it. I happen to think it's probably the most important way to do it at this particular moment, perhaps. The COS Our Faith, Our Vote Committee is setting up a voter registration table before and after worship today and next Sunday. It's for anybody who wants to register. It is not partisan effort. If you want to assist with voter registration, you can also come here on Thursday at 1 o'clock to meet with them to hear what they're doing, or give Kathy Jones or Rhonda Melton, or it's Rhonda Melton, a call or talk to them, and joyfully plan to vote this year as an act of faith, if nothing else. Another important thing for us to do may not seem immediately apparent in a progressive, social justice-oriented congregation. We need to pray. In addition to his scholarly work, Walter Wink was an activist all his life. Yet when it came to transforming the world, one of the things he spoke most passionately about was prayer. He wrote, "Every dynamic new force for change is undergirded by rigorous disciplines. For that reason, those who are the bearers of tomorrow's transformation undergo what others might call disciplines, but not to punish themselves or to ingratiate themselves to God. They simply do what is necessary," and I like this phrase, "to stay spiritually alive. Just as they eat food and drink water to stay physically alive, and the most important discipline of all, to stay spiritually alive, is prayer." Wink continued, "Those who pray do not do so because they believe certain intellectual propositions about prayer's value, but because the struggle to be human in the face of superhuman powers requires it." And he's again speaking of those social forces and systems and structures that shape our world. The act of praying itself is one of the indispensable means, he said, by which we engage the powers of our time. So before you vote, pray. After you vote, pray. With words or without them, with people or alone, standing or sitting or walking, whatever else you do these days to make a difference, find the time to pray and a way to pray that works for you. And Wing talks about that, saying it may or may not involve regular regimens, may or may not be sacramental, may or may not be traditional. And it is, in any case, not a religious practice externally imposed, but an existential struggle for us against the impossible, against images of worth and value that stunt and wither full human life. That's the reason to pray. Prayer is the field hospital in which the spiritual diseases that we have contracted from the powers can be diagnosed and treated and healed. So lot in there to meditate upon. Last of all, but probably most important of all, love. And when I say love, I'm not saying you should be nice to everyone all the time, or feel lovely things toward everyone all the time. Even if that's possible, it's probably not healthy. I mean, sometimes you're just a human being. The love of God and neighbor and creation we are called to practice is a powerful thing. It is the one and only power that can overcome evil and the principalities, powers, and spiritual forces that so often reign in our world. It seems to me now, as I think about it, that evil by its nature almost always tends to be expressed through bombastic speech and outrageous acts of violence that are meant to be remembered, that are meant to intimidate us, that are meant to shatter us, scatter us apart, and silence us by targeting our deepest fears and insecurities.